Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're going to talk some mailbag questions. We got some questions that have been popping up on our YouTube comments lately, and we're going to go through some of those. And actually, just a heads up for everyone, if you're listening for the first time, during the season, we always do a mailbag episode every week. So get ready for that. You can send us questions on on YouTube. You can comment on Instagram.com/fantasyfootballprofit. You can email them to fantasyfootballprofit@gmail.com. And we'll definitely answer as many questions as we can. We'll start that right away, week one. It's always a good time. I love mailbag show. It always gives us some, interesting questions we might not be thinking about. But all right, let's jump into this thing, Jeff. You got some questions and comments coming from YouTube for us today.
I'm just gonna go straight down the way. Hey, do you like Tony or Olave more in the later rounds?
Tony or Olave? Man, Tony, I wanted to say Tony because he's been hurt. He's back though. It's still going to be. I'm just going to go with my first instinct. It's Tony for me. For that little bit I saw from him last year.
Yeah, we've seen it out of Tony.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen Olave, but the Giants give me pause every time because the more you hear about him, the more it's so dysfunctional. But I really, really believe in his talent, so I still like Tony more.
Yeah, it's going to be Tony. But Olave, I just haven't seen him in the NFL. Well, it's hard to pick for me.
All right. We have one from Kyle King. He needs some advice. The draft I'm in this year has an extra utility spot and allows a QB to place there. All right. Should I shoot for 2 QBs or still use the extra spot for a wide receiver, or running back? Also, I'm assuming that QB value will shoot through the roof. Mm-hmm. I agree, as there are only so many good ones and this is going to be a 15-team player league. Should I be willing to pay more for QB points? It's a very good question. That's a very difficult question in general.
So we've played in a few. So basically it's super flex essentially. Then we've played in a few super flex leagues, and I seem to be I like to wait on the quarterback a little bit more than others do. I let the others go crazy for quarterback, and I feel like I can get a lot of talent that way early. But the problem is you don't want to go too late. Basically what I'm doing is I'm bypassing the top 12, 13-ish, right, at this point. But you still got to get in there. You got to just feel it out and feel how the quarterback, what's out there, what quarterbacks are left. I would love for the starting quarterback to be a Cousins or a Carr in this situation. I would absolutely love that. But I'm not opposed to going even crazier. I've done some interesting strategy with Superflex and ended up with like a Jared Goff and somebody else, Daniel Jones or something. But I'm saying, to the point though, I don't mind Jared Goff being my quarterback too in this situation. I would go for like a Carr and then wait around and get Goff. I don't need to go crazy and get early because again, it's not 2 QB. So you're not forced into it. I think it's obviously better to have the 2 QBs, but I think you end up getting a lot more talent when you wait around. It's just my personal strategy. I don't really know. Does that work? I have to play it out a little bit more, but we've kind of done that. I feel like in the Scott Fish Bowl in the past, and you typically make the playoffs every year in the Fish Bowl, and we a lot of times go the opposite of what others are doing, and that's kind of actually more what it is to me. It's all right if you're good scenario is like sometimes I see quarterback runs in this, and why do I want to get like the 7th quarterback in a run? I'm just going to get all those other running back or receiver that they passed up. And that's a much better move for me. So I don't know. How do you feel about that, Jeff?
I mean, yeah, I agree with you on that. And it changes so much. If you had, like the number one, was this one? Did I say pay for it? Was this an auction? Yeah, I'm gonna assume it's an auction. So
yeah, and even in that, so
for that one, I think it's much more of like the first few that come out. I think that you have to find out if you think that you're getting value for them. Then I don't mind grabbing one of the the top guys or something. But other than that, if everyone is paying an absorbent amount for QB and that is going to zap them of their assets like later on, then you can grab 2 QBs later on, which we don't mind. Like when it goes deep, right? You can get the 12th best quarterback, and that might just be completely fine. They could creep into the top 10, and then you can use all of your money on getting Jonathan Taylor, or you can, or 2 primetime wide receivers, et cetera. So I think it all depends on if those prices go up. Then I agree with, and they should. But if the first QB nominated, like maybe it doesn't, like, because if say Mahomes goes out there and he's, everyone's kind of like shell shocked at first because they don't realize that not everyone is going to be able to get 2 QBs, and he goes for the price he's supposed to go at, right? Just the listed price, I would say. Then go ahead and grab him and feel good that now all you have to do is add 1, but you can add him late.
Yeah, honestly, if you were able to get any top 10 guy in an auction with a $200 budget for 20 some dollars, I would do it. I think that's value, actually. Yeah. Any of those top 10.
I have a bad feeling too. I don't think you can get too picky with a QB in this situation. That is the rough part, because if you wait around and say whoever, say Hurts is your guy. Like, you really, really want him. Fine. That's all well and good, but some other guy in the draft really wants him as well. They're planning on stacking him with AJ or whatever, strategy they have. And all of a sudden he was the guy you really wanted and you waited too long. That is why I don't think you can get too precious about it, because I think after the first couple go, and they'll probably go for a little bit better of a price, then all of a sudden, all the other ones that were mid-level that everyone's like, I'm just going to grab 2 of these guys, number 5 and 6. Those guys are going to go for way more. So that is why I'm kind of like, I would push you to not get precious about it. Grab the one of the first couple that's the best value, and then go from there. Yeah. And if they just go for too much, hold back right, and go for, and just make up with the rest of the players. Cause I guarantee people that go big on 2 QBs will not be able to afford their running backs are going to look like trash, or their wide receivers. Something else is going to give.
We should do a super flex auction mock. That'd be interesting.
We should. And
definitely interesting. I'm curious how that play out. All right. What else we got?
Right. From Big Hammy 21. This is his fantasy team 12 team auction. He wants to know what we think. So Aaron Rodgers, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Henderson, Stevenson, Marlon Mack, Kadarius Toney, Michael Thomas, Cortland Sutton, Elijah Moore, Michael Gallup, Bills defense, Myles Garrett, Blankenship, and Hunter Henry. So, I think it's very, very strong. I first of all, Aaron Rodgers seems like a deal at the moment. You just have a very solid QB, great. And the fact that you have Taylor and Henry, and then you also have Cortland Sutton and then some really upside guys. So you're
Michael Thomas, right? Michael Thomas on there.
Yeah,
he could, we don't know. He could be great yet. We just haven't seen him. That's
a 12 team too. So I like that you went big on guys that are going to be good in the running back situation. And then Hunter Henry as a tight end. If I didn't miss anyone, no, I don't think so. That one could be, that's pretty much feast or famine, but you can scream that. That's totally fine. I like that you went upside with everything else. And Stevenson and Henderson, you could end up with a lot of, you might have trade assets too. But I do like it in a 12 team.
Especially for going for the Taylor Henry route, you had to spend to do that. So I think you were able to get the upside plays you needed. This will definitely be keeping on the waiver wire for receivers, but yeah, you're set at running back.
Yeah, I honestly think even if Sutton doesn't have the big breakout that a lot of people think, I think he's going to be very good as long as he stays healthy. Yep. But if Michael Thomas and Toney just aren't the same players we think they might be, or just never get back to that, I honestly think that you can probably start Sutton and Elijah Moore and be just fine with the running backs you have. True. So I think that you played it very, very well.
Yep.
All right. Let's see here. As far as one of the questions is about some of the players that we had mentioned early on that we're going for not a lot of money, like AJ Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
He's the primary suspect. We're getting for $4 on all of these.
Sure.
he has not found that. He's finding that in the leagues he's been drafting in, he's going for a lot more. Is that because the year is coming around? Have you found that? Is that, has his value finally caught up to it because everyone's talking about it? Or what do you think that
I think it depends on where you're drafting, to be honest, because ESPN has his value so low that it actually really, I think, messes with people's minds. Where even in our auction keeper, didn't he only go for like $10? So he wasn't.
Yeah, he still went pretty cheap.
Yeah, he didn't go for a lot, and that's with inflated values. He's not going for the 2, 3, 4, but I still think he's going undervalued for what he should be. That's kind of, I think I see him in the single digits a lot yet, at least on ESPN. So yeah, I still think he's going for. I think he's still a very good value right now in auction drafts overall.
Cool. And we have one more, and this one's from Rusty Shackelford. This one is about a super flex as well. So I wanted to get it out here since we're doing a short podcast. I'm in a super flex best ball PPR dynasty auction draft. So that is a mouthful. It's a serious league I just joined, never done anything but PPR 12-man snake drafts. It's been a lot of fun. I have pretty good idea how to draft and budget and find value, but just asking. Budget is $300. First pick was $80 for Lamar Jackson. Second was for Russell Wilson at $64. Is this a good start to it? Going wide receiver, running back, tight end next few rounds to really have a nice rounded team. Thanks for the advice in advance.
Interesting. So what were those 84?
$80 for Lamar Jackson and $64 for Russell Wilson. It is a super flex best ball PPR dynasty league.
So if you look at it, those are like, if you want to go in like $200, that's like 64 and 42 ish. It's over half of the budget either way, right? But I'm just saying, so it's 60 some, 40 some. That's a lot of money. I guess again, like we were talking about the super flex. I mean, that's one way to do it, right? You go big, you go get their quarterbacks. I'm not going to say it can't work. I don't think I'd go for that strategy, to be honest. I think I'd go differently. But again, I had to see it play out. But that's half of the budget right now with two guys. But that's the one we were talking about earlier. Maybe then the other guys will go differently. And look at there's a $100 and some off the board, and now I can go get other talent. That's interesting. Those are two good. I like the players though a lot. Lamar and Russell Wilson. Like you can be really, really good with those two. So I like it. I just think I'm curious, man. Those quarterbacks in general must have gone for a lot of money if Lamar and Russ are going for that.
Yeah, and the one that's really interesting to me is the dynasty aspect to it.
Yeah.
So
makes it even, the quarterbacks are so long term that
right.
Yeah, it makes it even that's really why they're more value, because the quarterbacks are going to be on your team for years, right? A running back could be gone in 4. So I think that makes sense then. Then you know what? I like it. Russ, a little bit older, but still
played for so long though.
Yeah.
Actually, the one it's an offshoot of this. The one that I find interesting is Lamar really intriguing, and we think that any certain year he can kind of go off and he can be the number one player in fantasy. That's the kind of talent he has. He's done it before. So, but the question in dynasty, because he is a running quarterback that so much of his value is attached to that, does that bring his value down for you because you think that he won't have as long of a career as, say, Russell Wilson or, name someone that stays in the pocket, right? And Aaron Rodgers, et cetera. And don't get on here talking about how Aaron Rodgers runs and all that. You know what I mean.
There's some concern because we haven't really seen many people do it for any kind of time yet, right? I mean, Cam Newton was running. He ran a lot, and he's done in his early 30s, right? There hasn't been a lot of long. I mean, Michael Vick.
Well, and not even done in his early 30s, but he had a very short shelf life. Half of his career was just trying to stay in the league.
Yeah, Michael Vick was done relatively early. There hasn't been guys that have made it.
Yeah, he actually injuries did not take him out though. No, I mean like that one is an interesting one. He was possible.
He came back after everything,
yeah,
and then
he did great though. For a year or two.
He did for a short time, and then I mean, I guess he was.
But to your point,
really good around 30, 31, and then he started tailing off again, 32, and then he was done. So he was done about 32, 33 is when he tailed off. So, yeah.
For that one,
I still like it though. I still like the value because I think Lamar's young enough where you're still going to get a lot of years, even if you get 7, 8.
Well, I would wonder, but all these quarterbacks are really young now. That's the crazy part. So the question would be, I wonder how much the other quarterbacks went for, which we're not going to find out. But
Mahomes and Allen must have been for ridiculous.
Must have been and Herbert, right? Like he's insanely young. So who would be, if you couldn't go for those guys? Is there someone in the, maybe the lower like 8 to 15 range, or even lower, that you could get for a cheaper price that you really like? Like you could, and if a super flex and a dynasty, you can even add a quarterback later on too. And because that'd be great, right? You don't want to end up with just 2 necessarily.
Yeah, there's, man, I don't know. I'm a big Trey Lance fan now, but
yeah, I think everyone kind of, I'm still,
he'd go for a lot in that. It's hard to say. I mean, the funny thing is maybe Trevor Lawrence's value has, maybe that 1 year is still decreased it even in dynasty type, where it's Trevor Lawrence, I think is going to be good. And, I think no matter what, I think Trevor Lawrence would be a value in that type of league compared to what he's going to be in his future.
Yeah. Well, who are some of the lottery picks? Like, I do wonder, and these are ones that I think will go for very little, but I do wonder in something like that, like Kenny Pickett, he's not officially the starter yet. Do you have any sort of like feeling about Kenny Pickett?
Not really.
Or Trubisky, I guess, for that.
No, I mean, Pickett's been great in preseason. The guy's really looked good, but I still don't know how big of a ceiling he has,
Right.
I just don't know how high his ceiling is.
And what about someone like Baker Mayfield? Like getting him super cheap now, assuming I would take.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if we have anything with Baker anymore, but maybe be real cheap. But maybe Justin Fields' value's gone down. I'd go for Justin Fields.
Okay.
I'd take a shot. You know what? I would actually. This is weird. I'd take a little shot on Daniel Jones. I'm kind of curious how he's going to be this year with maybe some players around him and a real coaching staff. So
I have a feeling that we're going to watch that guy. I don't think it's going to get much better, to be honest. I'm kind of afraid that they will, even if he does halfway decent, they're going to be looking for a new QB. Just the way things go. Anyone else? Mac Jones.
I don't know what kind of ceiling Mac Jones for some reason just seems like it seems like a mediocre fantasy football player forever.
Well, the problem is like in those kind of leagues, if you're, you have to, you'll have to grab one of these guys, or you're going to have to be drafting rookies, in the future. So trying to figure that out is
Jared Goff. I'm that's the Lions
actually,
fan.
Yeah. I don't think he'll be bad. I think that he's a very cheap option that you can have on your team for 5 years. Like, I don't think he's going to wash out of the league. So I don't mind that pick. What do you think about Davis Mills? Do you think
he's interesting too? Yeah,
I think be the quarterback there in Houston? It feels like they can't spend another.
He's going to be this year. He's going to be this year. That's how much I know. But he showed some promise. He's interesting. So maybe take a chance. See what it plays out.
All right. Well, good. That was a nice, quick, down and dirty. But like,
if you guys
we do a mailbag episode every single week. That is like our favorite one to do. So if you do have any questions. Start sending them in, and we'll start doing a weekly episode about them.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Talk to you next time.